Folks, this episode is brought to you by Patriot Gold Group. Call 888-505-9845. Mention me, Michael Malice, and get your free investor guide today. Again, that's 888-505-9845 for your free investor guide today. Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us, I don't know a better way to put it, but a kindred spirit, Alex Stein. Alex is a provocative troll. Alex is much more aggressive than me. If you don't know who he is, he's the guy who got AOC to basically have a meltdown about her juicy booty. You go to council meetings, and I saw you recently were going after Barstool Sports. And you got many scalps to your name. So yes. What we were just talking about before we got started taping, Alex, you have a show now too on The Blaze, correct?
I do. I have a show coming out in January. It's a prime time with Alex Stein. So that's going to be great. And, hey, but let me just start off the show, too. Let me address the elephant in the room. I'm actually going on a mentor of mine, a guy like Jason Whitlock. I know you guys had heat. But I think that heat, I think Jason, he comes across pretty laid back after hard arguments on air because of his past. That's all he did was debate shows. So I don't even know. I haven't talked to him about it, but you don't have any heat with Jason, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, I do. I think, but I'm not going to.
Oh, you do? Oh, wow. Yeah. There's still heat? Is there still heat? Okay, all right. Well, then I'll move on. I'm not. I mean, there's no point in me denigrating him behind his back. Wow. Then let's not talk about it. So there's still heat within Jason Whitlock and Michael Malice drama. Oh, my God, that makes me sick. Okay,
I can't speak for him.
Okay. Well, I'll find out.
But I have nothing but contempt for him.
Okay, forget about that. Okay, but let's talk about what I want to talk about. But you talked about some scalps, but I want to talk about yesterday what I did in New York City.
We're going to talk about what I want to talk about. Hold on a second.
Calm down, Stein. You brought up Barstool. Okay.
We're going to get to Barstool, but what I wanted for you to explain to my boomer brain, because I am 80, how do you have a backdrop that looks so cool? Literally, what's the trick?
Okay, well, there's a very good answer to this. So it's called OBS Studios, and OBS is basically what a lot of people use to broadcast. And see, Michael, my story started out as I worked in reality TV. I worked with the TV show Cheaters, where we catch people cheating on their husbands.
Oh my God, that was the best show. Was it real?
Well, I signed an NDA, so I can only say so much. But I worked on the show. That's all I'll say.
For those who don't know, for people who are young, back in maybe 20 years ago, there were a bunch of shows like Chain of Love, Blind Date. There was Next. There was such fun.
The best era of TV ever. Yeah. And see, this is the thing, Michael. And the show's still on. It's actually distributed by Viacom, which owns MTV, CMT, and VH1. And so, listen, the host, I became very good friends with a guy named Clark Gable. His grandfather was the Clark Gable from Gone with the Wind. And so this guy, he was from California, Michael. And I'm sure you have friends that are like party animals, and I partied. And so I'm saying this guy had the highest tolerance, Michael, of anybody I knew. I'm saying I saw him do lines of cocaine and take pills. One of those guys, you'd be like, whoa, how is this guy, alive? I get a call after we're done filming the 17th season from his wife. It's like, Clark is dead. I'm like, what? I'm like, what happened? Like, oh, yeah, he went and bought some pills off the street that he had a doctor that had given him prescription pain pills, right? And he ran out of them. So he went and bought what he thought was like Vicodin or hydrocodone. What he thought was street. I mean, he's buying them on the street, but he thought they were prescription, medication, had fentanyl in it, and just took it in bed with his fiance and his 19-month-old baby and died. So the reason why this fentanyl crisis for me is this guy had the highest tolerance of anybody that I knew, dude. Yeah. It's not like this wasn't like some 16-year-old on her, the first night that somebody hands her a pill at a concert, she just dies. This guy was like an experienced user that I would be like, whoa, I wouldn't even drink or do what he did. And so then they said, oh, Alex, you're going to be the next host of the show, because I was producing at the time. I'm like, what? My friend just died, but I'm so excited for this. And then they said, then when it came time to hire the host, April 2020, the pandemic's kicking off, they hired this guy named Peter Guns, who was like a rapper. He had like one hit song, and they made him change his name to Peter Panky because Viacom didn't want him to have guns. They didn't want to have guns, in the title anywhere. And so because of that, I quit. And that's when I started my podcast. And so I started doing a podcast that nobody was listening to. You know, I had like 1,000, subscribers on my channel. Then I got up to like 2,000 or 3,000. But then I started going and I started speaking at city council meetings, and I spoke seriously. And during the pandemic, I had to do it over Zoom. So I figured out how to use OBS and make my background look like anything. So I made it look like a trucker during the trucker convoy protest. I could make it look like a doctor's office when I was saying that people are getting pericarditis. I can make it look like, I made it look like Afghanistan when I called into, Ted Wheeler in Portland. So that's what I'm saying. So I figured out how to use this. I can make my background basically, look like anything. I don't even know what other backgrounds I have behind.
So is it just the green screen and then the program?
See, like this is like, now we're teaching in elementary school right now. I mean, anybody can do.
Alex Stein is a groomer. Look, yeah, we can see the receipts.
And that's why I have it, for this exact thing. But yeah, so you know how it goes. I don't even know now if I can turn on my fireplace. Okay, now I don't even know how to turn my thing back on. Okay, wait, where is it?
We're all boomers here.
Yeah, I know. And my cat's going crazy. Okay. Sky Bear. Look, another classroom. Look, I'm all classrooms because all my content is making fun of weird classroom crap. Okay, where is it? Okay, now I don't know how to fix my background. Okay, great. Okay,
so let's focus more on your work. So I think one of the big things that made you rise to prominence, people also appreciate that you're like a big dude. How tall are you, like 6'3"?
Yeah, I'm 6'3". I'm like 240 pounds, even though I'm on a weight loss kicker right now. Hopefully I can lose some weight. And I had toxoplasmosis from all my cats, Michael. How
many cats do you have?
I have 5, and it's a long story. I know.
And you're a vegetarian?
I'm a vegetarian, and I rescue animals. And I have monkeypox, yes. And I'm bisexual, transsexual, polysexual, two-spirited sexual.
You're not a two-spirit. That's for natives.
I am two-spirit. I have Native American blood, Cherokee in me. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Trust me.
Okay, Senator. Okay. Let's calm down, Senator. Tell the story of how were you surprised? Tell the incident of you interacting with AOC and how that blew up. And when you go and kind of confront people like this, for lack of a better term, what's going through your head? Is the adrenaline spiking? Are you calm? Are you like a sociopath, or are you like nervous?
No, well, it's like a happy, anxious nervousness. It's kind of like a comedian, I guess, before you go on stage. Like, you want to go on stage, you want that opportunity, but you're still like, oh man, am I going to go bomb? Am I going to go suck? What's your reaction going to be? So like the example with AOC is I was just like an idiot. I'm going to go to DC. I'm going to go to the Capitol steps, see who I run into. Just like, oh, it was my second time in DC. The first time it was like a school field trip when I was in high school. So this is my first time in DC as a grown adult, and I'm like, oh, look, I'm just on the Capitol steps. I have my selfie stick. I look like a total nerd. I went to my little hotel in Capitol Hill, like the Hilton Garden Inn or whatever. And I just put my bag down. I was like, oh, I'm going to go walk to the steps. I see some politicians. All of a sudden I see, Adam Kinzinger. I'm like, oh man, Adam Kinzinger. He was like warm up. I was like, oh, you traitor, January 6th, blah, blah, blah. He does the perfect reaction, keeps his head down, total professional. He's used to getting heckled. He knows what it's like. Do not interact. Do not feed the troll.
Yeah, don't acknowledge. Because then you don't have any footage. It's like when Tom DeLay was arrested at his mugshot, he's smiling because you don't want that mean mugshot. You want it to look like a 8x10.
Always smile in the mugshot. For anybody playing at home, always smile in the mugshot. But so I see him, then I see Jamal Bowman, who's part of the squad. I'm like, oh, do you think Hunter Biden has good taste in prostitutes? He's like, what? And so I'm just like creeping around like a total creep. Like I said, with my selfie stick. I'm surprised I don't have a selfie stick near my desk. I'm just kind of creeping around I have 2 phones. So I'm like, I'm on my phone and my selfie stick. All of a sudden, I see like
you're by yourself completely.
Well, I have a buddy who's there, but like he's like he's like there to film me, but like we're not like set up filming. He's just kind of holding his camera. He's kind of on his phone on the other side of the steps because we're just kind of just milling around. We don't know what to do. There's other reporters, not that I'm a reporter, but you know what I mean. There's other reporters just sitting there, content creators, and like just Washington DC fans. Like, oh, I might see a politician. So all of a sudden I see this like caravan pull up and I see it's like a crowd. I'm like, oh, this is good. Like thumbs up. Like, oh, there's energy over there. And I'm all about, electromagnetic energy. I feel like that's, that I know that sounds crazy. I guess woo-woo, but we are energetic beings. And that's why I'm all about vibes. I'm all about high vibrational energy. I don't like low vibrational energy type people because I'm a plant-based pimp. I'm high vibrational. That's why I don't eat meat, because it keeps me in a high vibrational state. But neither here nor there. Let's not talk about my vibrational levels. My vibrational level, magnet. I'm like, oh, there's energy over there. I go there in my selfie stick. And then I see freaking AOC with her big ass mask and her big Latino booty looking good. I'm not just saying this, Michael, like to be funny. Like she's in a white dress, like looking hot, like not objectively, oh wow, if that girl was like at the coffee shop, you'd be like, whoa, like where does she work? Just because it wasn't like it was a revealing dress. I mean, it's above the knees, it was a tight fitting. And not that I don't think that she's pretty already, but everybody in the conservative move is like, oh, AOC's so ugly. She has those googly eyes.
She's not ugly at all. Anyone who says that is complete cope, whatever term you want to use. She's very attractive.
Yeah, she was even more pretty than I thought. That's why I'm trying to talk about her beauty. I was kind of like, oh, whoa, well, this is not a Congress. This is like a sorority girl or something. She literally looked like, I'm telling you, I could see why she got casted as that role. Basically, in the Netflix documentary, she has that kind of like what they say in French, je ne sais quoi, that kind of like undefinable, charisma where she does have.
The It Factor.
Yeah, she has that. She has the confidence. And then her little fiance Riley is just walking right past her. And I get out the selfie stick. I go, oh, AOC. I go, you like to murder babies, but you're still beautiful. My favorite big booty Latina, even though, because this is right when the Roe versus Wade stuff. And she's like, we have to have a woman's right to choose. And we got to be able to murder the babies. And da, da, da. And then, and then I'm being nice. I'm like, my big booty Latina. And she goes and gives me the peace sign. Goes up the steps. It's kind of.
Wait, hold on. As she's walking up the steps, was it a big booty?
Yeah, it was very pert too. I mean, it wasn't even that it was like big kilogram mass wise, but it had just a nice badonkadonk. They call that in Texas that honky tonk badonkadonk. Like she can fill out some mom jeans perfectly, is what I'm saying. So it's not too big. There's not a bunch of leftover ribeye, that you got to cut off the meat to cook it. It's perfect. It's a Wagyu. Perfect mix of fat and meat, I'd say. Neither here nor there to talk about her butt. So her staffer comes about 10 minutes goes by, then her staffer comes down and gets her cell phone out and like immediately runs down, takes a picture of me, and I have a business card. I'm like, here, I'm Alex Stein, like I'm on the internet if you want to know who I am. I'm the one that just said that. And she like huffs and puffs. Then all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up because then AOC, I see her upstairs on the Capitol steps, on the top of the Capitol steps, and she's like doing selfie mode and she's getting it so she can see me, and I'm watching the whole time. And that's the most famous video where she's like, this guy just sexually harassed me on the Capitol steps, and it's me, and I'm waving in the background in my shorts and like a pink polo. Like I look like the gayest dad, on a family vacation. Like I feel like Clark Griswold or something, like family vacation. Like all of a sudden I just tripped and fell and I messed up, and now all of a sudden she's talking about how January 6th is an inside job. Like it literally feels like that, kind of like a movie. Like I tripped and now the United States is crumbling. But all that happens, it blows up. She does the typical, I'm a victim, even though I'm the 32-year-old congresswoman that was like one of the youngest ever elected, and somehow she's the victim. And that, I think that's the game plan that they all do. And that's what I've noticed, where people don't want to be bullies. People don't like bullies, but people kind of like it when we bully fake victims. Does that make sense, Michael? Like the people like that. People don't mind when we bully AOC for some reason, because everybody knows she's not a real victim. Now, like this is a perfect example. When her abuelita, her house, her grandmother's house was like, the roof was, caving in, and everybody crowdfunded money to pay for abuelita's roof. And she's like, no, I won't take that. Like, that's a troll, but nobody cares. That's not like a mean troll because it's done to her. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's weird.
She was the one who made it out that January 16th, she thought her life was threatened because she had to talk to a cop in her office for 10 seconds. And she was still going into seizures weeks later. I mean, calm down, lady.
Hey guys, Michael Malice here. Want to talk to you about Pluralsight. Now, helping your employees learn new cloud skills helps your business become more agile, more resilient, and more secure. Not helping employees learn new cloud skills causes your business to become less agile, less resilient, less secure, less innovative, less profitable, and ultimately less of a business. Don't become less of a business. Try Pluralsight and get your employees everything they need to learn new cloud skills. Learn more at pluralsight.com/vision. Folks, the holidays are here, and the best way for gifting greatness is when you give the gift of perfectly aged, tender, and delicious Omaha steaks. Omaha Steaks have put together a delicious selection of various gift packages to make shopping for the ones you love nice and easy. Go to omahasteaks.com and take advantage of 50% off site-wide. Plus, use code Malice at the checkout. You get another $40 off your order. Omaha Steaks has everything you need to give a gift that's simply perfect. Send an assortment of mouthwatering favorites. They've got their butcher's cut filet mignon, air-chilled boneless chicken, which I got a bunch of in my freezer, and they're really good, ultra juicy burgers, and even easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. Don't wait. Beat the rush. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code Malice at checkout. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, a gift that will be remembered with every unforgettable bite. And order with complete confidence today, knowing you're ordering the very best, and they are. I've tried them. I love them. Visit omahasteaks.com. Take advantage of 50% off site-wide. Plus, use promo code Malice at checkout, and you get another $40 off your order. Minimum order may be required. Let's get back to the show.
In January 6th, come on, it was the biggest joke ever. I mean, I hate that like we're not just going to sit here and do another January 6th podcast going into 2023.
But what I want to ask you is when that all started blowing up, I'm sure you got a lot of hate, right? Was that the first time you experienced like an overflow of or like overwhelming amount of like anger and hatred?
No. I got my start, and I graduated from LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in 2010. I moved to LA. I didn't have any job prospects. I went to Central Casting, and I got a job working as like an extra. And I worked on The Office. I worked on like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I got where you could see me.
Wait. So are there episodes of those shows?
Yeah, The Office. Yeah, you can see The Office, and It's Always Sunny. Yeah, good. Type in Michael Scott's last scene. You'll see me. I'm in The Office. I'm in Michael Scott's. You'll see me clearly, Alex Stein. I'm in the thumbnail on the YouTube. Go to The Office on their official YouTube.
That's amazing.
So I was on all these shows, and then you meet casting directors, and I get a job as a production assistant because you get on set and you realize, oh hey, you're an extra. Oh, we need a production assistant for this commercial on here. That's kind of how you kind of get a job in Hollywood. You kind of just know somebody. So that's like how I got my start. And then you meet these people. Then you meet like, oh, from doing extra work and working in production, they're like casting directors for reality shows. Like, oh, Alex, you'd be perfect. You should audition for this reality show. Well, I get on it, Michael, and this is like the big show of the summer. It's called The Glass House, and it's supposed to be making fun of Big Brother. And you live in a house with like 20 other people, and you try to vote each other out, and you're under surveillance 24 hours. It's intense. But the reason why ours was different is because you could interact with the audience. You could ask them questions, and the audience would answer it. So I was like, should I be the world's biggest villain? And I didn't watch these reality shows. I didn't know how to do these reality shows. They said yes. So I took that as going around and being like, to the girl that was in Playboy, was like, you show your tits for a living. To like the gay guy, I was like, you're a big gay homo. Like, I mean, I was just, being stupid. I didn't even say that. I think I said something different to Jeffrey. I was actually pretty friendly to the gay guy. But what I'm just saying, I didn't really know what to, you know what I mean? Like to the girl, there's a girl that was always pooping. And I'd be like, every time you leave the bathroom, it smells like orange scented shit. Like, I didn't know what to say. You're stuck in a house, Michael. It was so bad. And so I was the first one eliminated, second one eliminated from the house. And because I did, but the producers were like, oh, you're going to be on forever. Like, you're the star of the show. You're this and that. But because I went off like so unsanctimoniously, dude, the hate was insane because it was on ABC and the internet was fresh. This was like 2013. So the internet culture was different. So like, it was just, oh, fuck you, F you. People went after my dad on the internet. So yeah, I had that public embarrassment. So I don't know. After that, now I'm probably going to go into politics because I can't really get much more embarrassed after that. Yeah.
Well, how did you deal with it? You were a kid and you're just playing a part.
Well, then let me tell you this story. This is what I learned. And then this is the lesson I learned the most. So then wait,
and we got to interrupt you because this is important for people in the audience to hear, because I get asked this question a lot. How do you deal with internet hate? And I think a lot of people are scared to kind of voice their opinion on the internet because they are going to receive blowback. So this is a useful technique to teach them how not to deal with it.
Well, and that is really important because, listen, you're going to get hate no matter what, because people are going to be like, you're going to get hate from the biggest supporter is a stranger and your biggest enemy is somebody that like is only considered probably a friend. That's just how it works. And like, you're going to get hate from people that just are jealous. So like hate is it's kind of almost, if you're doing well, you should have a little bit of hate, guys. So if you're putting yourself out there, that's one thing. You should have like a tiny bit of hate, but if it's all hate, that's not good. And how do you deal with it? I guess this is my one strategy for life, and do not follow me. I'm like Charles Barkley in the 80s. I'm not a role model by any means, but once you worry about the opinion of strangers, you're screwed. You have to stop worrying about that. Strangers do not matter. That's why you're like, oh, I got to have this car. You're putting your ego into inanimate objects in order to impress literal strangers that don't give a shit. Like, they're never going to be impressed. As a matter of fact, buying something nice might actually turn somebody off. So for me, that's the best advice. Be unapologetically yourself.
Because if you give them that power, they're going to use it to try to take away their approval, which you otherwise desire. And now you're screwed and there's nothing you could do about it. They're not going to be acting in good faith. There are always going to be people who will look at any opportunity to take aspects of your personality or work, to denigrate them, to try to take away the respect that otherwise you would feel you deserve. So if you listen to them, and there's going to be people across, no matter where you're on the spectrum, someone's going to be the opposite, you're SOL.
There's always going to be a counter signal to whatever you guys do, no matter how big or small, whether it's like Bertha on Facebook mad at you because, whatever, you voted for Trump or whatever. I'm just saying there's always going to be a counter signal. So for me, just don't worry about the opinions of strangers. Now, that doesn't mean that you should go full QAnon and say JFK Jr. is coming back and, spread weird stuff on the internet that makes you look weird, right? Like, there is a depreciating thing for guys where we just are doing stuff that makes us look totally weird, and socially people are going to like, make us a pariah. But other than like being a pariah, don't worry about what any stranger has to say about you. That's my advice.
Yeah, and it's like, where'd you grow up, Alex?
Dallas, Texas. Dallas.
Okay, so see, the people ask me that, or they think I'm full of it. It's like, I grew up in Brooklyn, right? So when you take the subway in New York, you're going to have literally crazy people, homeless people, unwell people get in your face and yell at you all the time. And when that's happening, your concern isn't, maybe they're right about how I'm dressed today. Your concern is, how do I get away from this person with the minimum interaction and to make sure that my physical safety is preserved? So when you have people come at you on the internet, your thought, in my experience, shouldn't be, let me engage and try to persuade them, when literally 99 times out of 100, they're engaging in bad faith. There's no upside, but there's a lot of downside. At the very least, you're losing time, your personal precious time. And second of all, why are you bringing this kind of aggressive stranger over to your side? Is that someone you really want in your corner anyway?
Yeah, and you're never going to win an argument on the internet. And I can prove that time is more important than money, because if I said, hey, Michael, I'll give you $1 million today, but you had to die tomorrow, you would say no. Yeah, I'd say, no, I don't want $1 million. So I'd rather have the time. So I'm just saying, for me, it's easy. It's easier said than done. Just, I don't care what strangers have to say about me. But I'm telling you, that is really important, especially in this like internet day and age where people just want to be like keyboard warriors and talk crap. And I would be totally lying if I didn't say I get 100 compliments and the one negative thing is what sticks out. Michael, I mean, I had to be honest that does happen, but I think that's part of just going out there. And let me just say this for the people, like, this isn't something to get, self-help, get a podcasting, but I think in life, when I started creating my podcast, creating content, that's when my whole life changed. And I think that's an allegory for life. We all need to be creating something, whether it's like a family, a podcast, writing a book, doing something, like not necessarily being a debt slave at a job that we don't care about. I think that we should create something that we're passionate about. And if you actually put your passion into something, and it sounds, anecdotal or cliche, but if you are passionate about something, the money and the career, I do believe, will follow. At least it did for me. Somehow it did. It worked out for me. And I've heard that cliche a lot until I took that risk. I took that risk, and the dividends are paying off.
And it doesn't even matter if the money follows, because if you're like, let's suppose someone who wants to be a dad and build a cool deck on your house, and you don't have that much in the bank, but once a year you're going on vacation, that to me is pretty much as good of a life as you're going to get.
I
so
agree.
If that person doesn't have an awesome car, who the hell cares? They have a family they like, they have a home that they're proud of, they can go to bed saying they made an honest day's wage for an honest day's work. That person is like morally impeccable, as worthy of enormous respect as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and Mike, I want to make this point, and this saying is so anecdotal, but it's comparison is the thief of joy, and that's one of the biggest problems of the social media era, is every single kid is comparing themselves to other people's social media, and adults do it as well. But it's like, gosh, it's so toxic on the child level, where now they're just materialism is all that they care about. It's like either have this like kind of like weird, like, Generation Z humor, or it's like I want to be a materialistic rapper with a Gucci belt. So we're like breeding this comparison. I gotta have this to be in a certain social class. And that is why social media is so toxic, because you're like, oh, why am I not doing this? Why am I not going on this vacation? Yet when you're looking at their profile, this person could be in terrible credit card debt. I mean, they could be going through a horrible relationship. So it's all fake. The internet is all fake. They get us to plug into the fake matrix to affect our actual, well-being in the real world.
And having a pair of $800 jeans, which I do not have, is not going to make your life substantially better.
Neither do I.
Than if you have
jeans here.
Pair of Levi's, which are $30, and anyone who's a jean denim fan is going to be respecting the Levi's anyway. Let's talk about your beef. You don't like that word. Your broccoli. Well, maybe you like the beef as a pejorative that works.
I have cats. I have cats and dogs, so I'm not anti-beef. I'm not one of these weird vegans. I eat cheese and I eat some eggs, so I'm not like that. For me, it's all about low vibrational because, I believe Hillary Clinton drinks the blood of children. I don't know if we can say that on this podcast, but there's a thing called adrenochrome. It's adrenalized blood, and that's what Jimmy Savile wanted. And Jimmy Savile was knighted by the Queen. He's literally one of the biggest, most prolific child molesters of all time, had, access to children's bodies in the morgue of the Royal Children's Hospital. Just the most disgusting, aberrant human being alive.
And he also did it publicly. So people, what Alice is referring to, take a second to look this up, Jimmy Savile, because he did it for decades. And he kind of would joke about it, and people knew, and everyone's like, "Oh, just Jimmy." And then after it all kind of came together, people were like, "Wait a minute, how did we let this guy get away with this for that long?" Go look it up in Britain. Your jaw will drop.
And the reason why it's kind of not funny is because there's guys like Prince Andrew, who's the Queen's actual son, hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. So there's a whole pattern of the royal family being involved with child predation. I mean, you're like, what? And then there's all these jokes too. That was always the joke. Oh, the royal, they would take them on a boat, and the kids would go missing. Supposedly they would just throw them off in the middle of the ocean. How are you going to go find that body? So no, there was a bunch of weird stuff with that, but supposedly they wanted the adrenalized blood of the children because they consider it as an anti-aging effect. I don't know if that's true. I'm a conspiracy theorist, but there's, some
Alex,
conspiracies.
We know Hillary doesn't take it because look at her. That woman's been through the wash.
But now she's back. No, but have you seen her lately though, Michael? Now she's kind of a whippersnapper again. I'm like, is this the same? It's like she's like a rehydrated Hillary. They put something on her. I swear, I don't believe in clones, but they do something. They shoot her up with like human growth hormone, because now she was actually pretty sharp in her last ABC interview. I was talking. She said some. You know what? I almost did believe her that Donald Trump was bad. I actually do believe her now. She's so convincing. But neither here nor there. So I believe that the cows, when they see their other cow buddies die, they get that adrenaline pumping through their veins, and so you're kind of getting that low negative vibrational energy. But I don't know how we go from adrenochrome to my plant-based diet, because I forget the question was.
Because I didn't get the question out. That's why.
Oh, okay, good.
What I was saying is your beef, and then we went on this whole side tangent. Your beef with Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, and it just recently culminated last week. We're airing this next week when we tape. Tell me the whole background of that story, and what were your thoughts about it?
Well, it's not too long of a story. This summer, I went to Las Vegas, and I spoke about how I lost all my money, and my wife's boyfriend had an OnlyFans account, and how they overserved me, just like basically like a hangover episode. Then I slept with a prostitute, ended up being a boy, and how I wanted them to have a transgender tracker for the prostitutes on the strip, so this doesn't happen to other tourists. It's just like a gimmick, right? It gets like 3 million views on Twitter, and Barstool Sports. They don't just retweet it. They download it and repost it, or they embed it, so it almost looks like it's their content, which I don't care. My content's public domain. Please, anybody watching this, share it. I don't even need credit. I don't care. I just wanted to get out there. My point is that they don't tag me or anything, but they wild guy in Vegas. And then like 30 minutes later, everybody's like, oh, Barstool shared it. It's going to get like 10 million now. It's going to get 10 million because their social media is so big. And then all of a sudden, like 20 minutes later, it's deleted. And I'm like, what? This is the second time they'd done it. The first time they had done it in the video, I think I talked about how it was a Super Bowl, and I talked about how I lost everything and I was suicidal. So that one, and I text my buddy, he's like, yeah, you talked about suicide. They shared it, and then they did the other thing. 30 minutes later, they took it down. But this other one was like so obviously a joke. It's like, I'm with my wife's boyfriend, I lost my money. And it wasn't like I'm suicidal. The first one I made a joke, I was like, I was suicidal, but they won, and thank God. So that one I kind of understood. I didn't make a stink. But then this one, I took it down. Then I just tweeted. I tweeted at Dave. I'm like, Dave, you're literally, and I didn't say what he's accused of. You're accused of like the most intense apparent accusations possible, and you can't even leave up my content. And then he lost it just from that one tweet. He's like, oh, who is this guy? F you, da 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 da. Then he invites you on his podcast because he gets ratioed. Because I retweet him, I'm like, why is he getting mad at me? I'm calling you out. He gets mad because I brought up his allegations of sexual assault. Then an hour later, after inviting him on his podcast, I'm like, yes, I'm going on his podcast. The next day, I think this is a Sunday, I'm going on the Monday, or whether it was a Monday and it's going on a Tuesday. Right. And the next day I'm going on his show. He cancels that and tweets this video where I'm at the Texas State Capitol and there's abortion protesters. And I'm like, don't you think it's murder? And I'm just kind of trolling some abortion protesters. And he says his quote is, oh, I don't want to have anybody political on my show. Yeah, he talks about politics all the time. So that's why I was just like, forget about it. He starts leaking DMs, then I'm leaking DMs. So now him and I are ratioing each other. I'm calling him a coward. He's like saying, oh, F you, I hope you lose. And Dan Crenshaw is retweeting Dave Portnoy's tweets saying F you. So we just get in this huge feud, and then it dies down because a guy that I know that works there, he starts saying, if this keeps going on, I'm going to fire this guy. So I back off. I'm like, hey, I don't want this.
Wait, who's going to fire who? Oh, Portnoy was going to fire your friend?
Yes, and he tweets about it. It's all yes, and Mincy. And so I cool down. And then, long story short, this comes around. Then I'm in New York City, and I said, next time I'm in New York, I'm going to go in there with Dontarius. And that's a joke I always say, Dontarius, my wife, and her boyfriend, Dontarius. Like, whenever I'm at a council meeting, I'm always like, yeah, my wife and her boyfriend are at home, just because everyone's like, what? My wife and her boyfriend. So I got this guy. He's an actor. His name's Esteban Romero. They call him Tino Romero, and he's like famous on TikTok. Or he gets just butt naked and runs around New York City like a homeless bum. And so I paid him. I had him come. I said, dude, this video is gonna get millions of views. Just trust me. We're gonna run up into Barstool. And I didn't have any plan. I heard their security restrict. I was just gonna walk in there and say, I'm here for Dave Portnoy's podcast. And if they said my name, I was going to say I was Francis Ellis, because there's a guy, Francis Ellis, who just got caught on a hot mic saying that Tucker Carlson trades in hate after this Francis Ellis guy was a guest on Jesse Waters' show. Jesse Waters has this Francis Ellis guy who works at Barstool on his show pretty regularly. And on their Barstool show, their hot mic, before they went to the theme song of the show, instead of clicking the theme song, they stayed hot for 15 more seconds. And it's like Francis Ellis being like, yeah, Tucker Carlson trades in hate. I don't want to work at Fox News. So that was part of the beef too. So I'm in there. I'm like, don't make fun of my biological father, Tucker Carlson, who's been so gracious to have me on his airwaves multiple times. And so that was the whole idea. I was going to go in there. I was going to go, don't mess with Tucker, call Dave out, bring the homeless guy, have him rub his butt all over their headquarters, which I did. I got the homeless naked man in their headquarters.
Wait, was he literally naked?
Oh, yeah, he was naked. Did you not watch the video? No, his butt is all, and then the guy that tackled him, he was complaining that he smelled bad. First of all, Esteban was he's a comedian. He smelled great, but it was so gross. I don't know what his butt smelled like. I did not smell Esteban's butt, and this guy was wrestling. If you watch the video, he's got Esteban in a bear hug, and you're kind of, when you're bear hugging, you see I have no pants on, but you're bear hugging, and he might have grabbed a cheek for leverage when he tackled him. I'm dead serious. That's what I'm saying. So if his hands was to grace Esteban's crack, I don't know if his hands smelled great, the guy that had to kick us out. But then I got assaulted by these women. So then this woman, Tico, who's supposedly has all this beef, there's 95% male.
Wait, can I interrupt this? You're going to make a superb grandparent one day. Because this is the kind of thing you can imagine a 70-year-old telling a bunch of high school kids, and then they grab the butt cheek and they're like, what is he talking about?
Well, if I show him the video, then I can show him the butt cheek. It's huge butt cheek. It's gross butt cheek. It's all in the video. I had to blur it. I'm saying I had to blur it for YouTube and Instagram. I would have community guideline strikes immediately. There was so much ass in it. It was an instant community guideline strike on YouTube, so I had to blur that. There's a lot of butt cheek. What is it? He gets tossed out of there. Then I call Dave out. I'm in his backyard, and it's just a legendary stunt. And it's all fun and games. But the Tico, this is what made it good. So we get first knocked out of the glass. Now we're in the hallway. We're not even necessarily technically Barstool's office. I mean, it's their hallway of their office, which is their floor or whatever you want. We could argue semantics, but then they come out and it's 95% male dominated, employee ratio. And it's two women that come out. This woman breaks her nail on me. Tico, there's blood on me. The other girl's punching me. And this is what the other guy, Esteban, Dontarius, my wife's boyfriend, he said that he said when the girl, like if you watch the video, she starts clapping like that. He goes, whenever a black woman starts clapping like that, run, Alex. That's why I remember I started laughing so much. He goes, when I started doing that, that's when it's about to fight. He goes, if you're ever in somewhere and they start clapping like this, and there's two hands in front of you, he goes, man, I've never had good luck with that. I had to leave. I had bad experiences. I've been beat up by so many women. So Esteban, as soon as he saw one of the girls doing that, he got an elevator and left. So it's me, my cameraman. She's clapping. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's throwing haymakers. The other guy, like the one white guy that works there, is knocking my phone. Then the other black girl's kicking me. So I got 3 Barstool employees attacking me while I have a selfie stick trying to film. And then I get in the elevator and we go down, and now it's got like 4 or 5 million hits on, combined with their clips and ours. So.
Your Welcome is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Now, most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening to me talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you could be doing right now, which is getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy. You can save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles in your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates, national annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2020 and May 2021. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. Hello, guys. Michael Malice here, underwear model to the stars. If you want to get inside my pants, you want to wear Sheath underwear. If you go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Malice, MALICE, you get 20% off. What's great about Sheath, and I wear them every day, is they've got this dual pouch technology, because there's one pouch for one part of your male anatomy, another pouch for another part of your male anatomy. First time you try them on, you're getting all your hands in there. You're like, this is weird. And from then on, you're like, oh, this is the most comfortable underwear I will ever wear. It's got added comfort, added performance, added mobility. And there's something a little subversive about talking to someone while the whole time your underwear is cupping your junk. I'm not going to lie. I do enjoy that aspect of it. If you go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Malice, you get 20% off your underwear, including my underwear. That's sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Malice, MALICE, for 20% off. Let's get back to the show.
Wait, I mean, I don't even know where to begin unpacking this. You must have gotten a lot of heat as a response from this.
Well, it's good heat too, because people love it. People love trolling. People love it's a joke. It's like a frat prank or something. I mean, I wasn't going in there to do anything. I mean, maybe I wanted to look like that, but that's why. See, people don't realize, like, Alex, is there any method to your madness? Well, yeah, that's why I had the guy that's an actor that's playing a homeless guy. So it's like when they actually look at it, like, was that a real homeless guy? Oh, no, he's an actor on TikTok that has like thousands and thousands of followers. Oh, so this is a joke? Is he actually married? Is that actually his wife's boyfriend? No, that's the whole joke. It's like, I'm mad at Dave. I can't beat him up. So I brought my wife's boyfriend to beat him up. Like, it's all just a joke. It's a LARP. And it's what it's done is to mock Dave, because they act like they're so serious. They act like they're so important. And that's when we got in our fight. When I was beating him in the fight, and this is what I retweeted, I was like, I hope you feel proud about yourself. He's like, oh, I'm going to feel really good sleeping on my $500 million tonight. He said this, and then I retweeted that message. So it's just like kind of going after the elitists. That's what people like. Once again, they want you to punch up. They don't want you to punch down. So they'd like to see, even people that are Dave Portnoy's fans, they kind of like to see him getting trolled because nobody ever goes after him. So that's what I do. I'm like the Robin Hood of trolling. I'm a nobody, and I'm trolling people that are important. And that's what's scary though, Michael. Because now that I'm getting bigger, now the trolls want to troll me. Now it's this intersecting, thing where it's like, I'm trolling this way, I'm going up. Now these other trolls want to, they want to cloud chase. So now our x-axes our meeting. And so now I'm dealing with trolls sometimes in real life, but that's just part of it.
But I feel like I can't. The only leftist troll that I can think of is Michael Moore. If people don't remember this, he got his start kind of little stunts. And a lot of it, he had a TV show, I think on Fox even, but not Fox News, obviously. That was very, I forgot what it was called, but it was really good. And he would have a lot of little he'd show up at places and
well, Michael, that's where I stole my idea for. So the most famous video, or the video that got me noticed by Tucker Carlson, is where I went to the Richardson City Council, and I recruited them to join the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. I went in there in a full military outfit. I don't know if you saw this one, but this was like one of my big videos this year. Got millions of hits where I was like, I want you to join the Ukrainian Foreign Legion and fight with Vladimir Zelensky. And that's basically what Michael Moore did. He had that real famous video where he went and he was just on Capitol Hill, and he was asking people like, hey, well, Senator, will you get your son to enlist to go fight? And this is during the Iraq invasion, and they're like, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. He couldn't get anybody to enlist. So that's kind of what my idea was. Like obviously nobody's just going to sit there in Capitol steps and sign up their son. Obviously nobody in the city council meeting is just going to get up and sign, but it's like the making fun of it. But the real sad reality is then there's people like Pat Tillman, who was like one of the greatest football players, of his time, sees 9/11, then decides to enlist in the military. And then let me put on my tinfoil hat, starts sending his wife letters saying, oh, I don't know if our invasion here is really justified. I don't know if there's a clear agenda. Then he dies by friendly fire. So there's also this something where you go radicalized to go join something, and it's bad. I think Pat Tillman's a perfect example.
Yeah, Tulsi's another good example of this. I mean, she, joined after 9/11, she joined the military, and then very quickly she became extremely anti-war. And probably the leading voice of, and especially in the Democratic Party, the major anti-war voice, certainly during 2020.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense why Dan Crenshaw, a guy that lost his eye, and I know veterans, I'm sure you know veterans too. Sure. They all have PTSD. They're all alcoholics. They're all having like horrible mental health issues. None of them are really happy about what they did. They actually talk about how they didn't do anything, and they come back really anti-war. Yeah, Dan Crenshaw loses his eye, and I mean because of all of his funding is from the military-industrial complex. Of course, he wants to continue fighting war. It's just disgusting. Like as human beings, I'm a conflict interventionist. We should be able to come to an agreement to be like, hey, I don't want to blow your brains out. I hate you. I don't like you, but I don't need to get a gun and shoot you in the head. And I get it. We're not necessarily going to be able to calm down, the conflict in Palestine and Israel. I get it or whatever, but that's not our problem. We need to worry about the conflict between Texas and Mexico. Like I'm just saying, it seems very simple stuff that I want, that I think the American people want, but instead they want to continue to fight wars in countries that don't affect us, while a crime rate and everything in our own country and our own borders being invaded. It's just like common sense stuff. I don't understand. The war is here in America, sadly. Like protect here. We don't need to be in, Ukraine, in the Donbass region of Ukraine, sending them trillions of dollars in old military weapons.
Yeah, I was born in Ukraine, and I'm far more concerned about Texas' conflict with DC than Washington's conflict with Moscow and or any city in Ukraine, so Kiev or wherever you want to call it. So yeah, it's just really funny because we were brought up in school told that war is always a last resort, which is correct, but then it's always the first priority. As soon as anything happens, let's get some guys in the plane. It's like, wait, or let's send them money. But it's like, listen, if you're funding, we're very obviously the wealthiest country in the world. If we're funding a war, and there's easily arguments to be made why we should be doing this, we're certainly putting ourselves in harm's way and American resources and American people in harm's way, because now we're putting our thumb in the scale and we're like, okay, we're on this side. So if there's blowback as a consequence of that, we can't just throw our hands in the air and be like, we just send the money. Well, yeah, you got involved.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And then it becomes a depreciating asset. It's like, we sent him this much money. Well, then we need to win the war. Like, it's like, it's like a money pit. Well, we put in this much to fix it. We might as well finish the job. So, no, I mean, it's really not good. We shouldn't be the world police. And it's simple. That's why, like, the America First mentality resonated with so many people. And then all of a sudden it's like alt-right or whatever. But seriously, that shouldn't be too much to ask for, that we care about American citizens. But, dude, you know this. I know this, Michael, that we're having a controlled demolition of American greatness right now. I mean, they're taking us off. Oil and gas industry here in Texas. I know you haven't lived here very long, but Michael, there was a time in Midland, not far from you, where, probably the, I guess you would say the oil boom area of Texas, where like landmen or driving, just guys that work on the oil rig are driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris. They're pumping so much gas, and they turned all that off. They shut down so many jobs, especially that Keystone pipeline. You know how much money Texas would be having from that pipeline. Why not? Why not bring in, 100 new billionaires to Texas or whatever would be created, something seriously big like that, because we have enough oil and gas in America to supply the entire world. We have enough in Alaska. They even say we have enough oil and gas reserves in Pennsylvania to run all of America. So you're like, what the fuck? We have all this oil and gas. And they're going to say, oh, because of climate change, because the temperature might rise 1 degree Fahrenheit in 300 years. Now we have to make America the weakest country in the world. And this is the problem. We did this during the, Industrial Revolution. Now we have no industry. We have no, we literally make nothing. So the last thing that we're basically making, last industry that we have that's better than everybody else in the world, is our oil and gas industry that we're outsourcing to the Middle East. It's like, what the hell? I mean, this is what bugs me the most, is the iPhone, the phone that every single person has, which basically is almost subsidized by the United States as it is, the way they're so in lockstep with the government. But my point is, they make this in Shandong, China, so it can be half the price. There, they have such poor working conditions that the employees oftentimes live there, and they have suicide nets because the employees are under such poor conditions. They oftentimes jump off the roof to kill themselves. And instead of giving them better conditions, they oftentimes build new nets. So it's
that's because their Super Bowl team keeps losing.
Exactly right. Exactly right. This is what I'm saying. All we have to do is build some gosh dang stuff here in America and bring back some trucks and bring back some diesel cars and some oil and gas, and we can be kicking ass again. It's not that hard of a recipe. It doesn't even take Donald Trump to do it. Anybody can do it, but they're purposely fucking us.
So Trump was one of the, if not the greatest trolls of all time, certainly on Twitter. My favorite, I don't want to say favorite because there's so many, but one of my absolute favorite moments of the Trump presidency was when Nancy Pelosi and a bunch of congressional leaders were about to get on a plane and fly to Afghanistan to visit military bases and do photo ops. And Trump cut the funding for the flight, and they literally had to drive the bus around, and they didn't know what to do, and then they just drove back, and they had to get off the bus because they didn't have their permission slip. It was.
Wait, did they not fly? Did they not go though? So they never even left to Afghanistan.
It was just like, sorry, I can't let you use military service. It was just absolutely amazing. What do you think of Trump and his prospects now? That's the big question, I think, for people who are on the right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to say this to the people that are just such Trump acolytes or whatever you want to call it. Just in wrestling, you call like a mark, like you're a Hulk Hogan mark, if like you love Hulk Hogan no matter what. And there's a lot of Trump marks that just love Trump no matter what, even though he has so much baggage, even though Trump has lied, even though Trump is not perfect, even though like Trump shut us down, Trump is a vaccine salesman, like all this stuff, and you're still going to be like, okay, all right, Trump's our hero. If Trump over Biden, yes. Trump over Gavin Newsom, I'm voting for Trump. If Trump is a nominee, I don't have a choice. I have to vote for him. But at the end of the day, I say this all the time. Idolizing a politician is like thinking the stripper actually likes you. Trump's not going to save us. Trump just wants to basically go in there and get revenge for his probably own personal vendetta. So he goes in there. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do some good stuff for the country. But yeah, he might do some stupid stuff, some personal vendetta type stuff too. So really, I'd almost like somebody to go in there with no baggage, like DeSantis. And listen, I was at Mar-a-Lago. I was at Trump's, whatever you want to call that, his announcement speech. Yeah. And I'll tell you this much: the energy in there was kind of sad because everybody in there wanted to recapture 2016, but everybody was so sour about 2020. So it was like this weird, like 2016 was like the biggest upset. We came back from 28 points down in the fourth quarter and won as the underdog. And then 2020, like we were supposed to win. And then, we got it stolen from us. So it's kind of like, it's like we won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but we didn't win it this last year. So everybody's just still sad. And then there's this new team like, oh, Ron DeSantis, like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. Oh, they got a pretty good coaching staff. Oh, their record's pretty good. It's like, it's just very easy. My point is to be a fair weather fan. And I think a lot of those people in that building very easily can pivot to DeSantis. So I just, if Trump runs, I'll vote for Trump. I love you, Donald. You're the funniest. The Apprentice, great show. That Donald Trump, I love. But the Donald Trump not pardoning Julian Assange, the Donald Trump that's not going to talk about the myocarditis or pericarditis of children. There's some serious stuff. If I had to talk to Donald Trump, not that, he's obviously way bigger than me, I would address these things. I would say January 6th. I mean, come on, the weaponization of the Department of Justice. Now, I know some of this was out of your power, but I mean, maybe pardon them before you get out of the office. Do something, because That's probably one of the biggest travesties in the entire world. I get that maybe some bad stuff happened, but for all of our resources to be put into that, to be put into people, the MAGA granny who are walking through the Capitol, and anybody can take a tour of the Capitol. Anybody, literally, you can go to Washington, D.C. Monday through Friday, unless there's like some sort of special event. You can go, and I think I've done the tour. I'm pretty sure it's free, I believe. So, I mean, I get it that they were there during a vote, but if you really think the QAnon shaman was going to go there on January 6th and decertify an election, you are the one that has autism, not me.
I feel like Kanye handed him an opportunity on a golden platter where he could have given a talk and been like, I'm the guy who's going to fight bigotry, and the biggest bigotry is CRTV and how the Democrats divide us. And look what they made me out to be. They're calling me a Nazi, even though my daughter converted. Like, this is just, I got to stop. And Biden is exploiting this for political purpose. Like, he could have really pivoted it and been like, I'm coming out swinging, and these guys are full of it. They don't care about racism. They don't care about anti-Semitism. They just care about their own power, blah, 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 blah. And maybe it certainly would have gotten some people in the press upset, but I think a lot of people who are independents or conservatives would have been like, good, yeah, they like him the best when he's taking the fight to his opponents. And it seems recently there's very little of him coming out swinging other than like bitching about Mitch McConnell's wife.
No, and I think that is he's kind of like governed himself, because that's what cost Trump the end of his presidency, is that he wants to be universally liked. He's not just dying. He likes to double down when he says like, oh, I'm going to grab him by the pussy or whatever, like, from some sort of like social interaction. But overall, he wants to be liked by everybody. He does not like to be disliked. And I think that's what Trump needs to realize, is he needs to double down on that. And that's what the left does, is they realize they're not going to like us. And that's why they actually do stuff. And that's why they celebrate their wins. That's why they celebrate Fetterman like he's like the next coming of Christ, when they know that he's an idiot drug victim. They know that, because when they celebrate it, it pisses us off even more, when they're like, oh, and then when they go on ABC, it's like, Fetterman has a chance at the White House in the next, like they're saying that just to piss us off, just so we'll play it like, look at these idiots. They think Fetterman can be the president. And then like it works. And then I'm like, the troll in me, I'm like, dude, this is literally like Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals, where you just like project what you want. You accuse the enemy of doing what you're actually doing, and like you can just like project. You could basically just make people mad by trolling them, and that's like half of what the left does. They almost troll us just as well as we troll them. Now, I don't think they have the same sense of humor when it comes to like the meme war or the actual content creation, but when they get their little victories, they're good at rubbing in our face just like we do to them.
And Alex, if you can get a corpse into the White House, why can't you get someone with half a functioning brain? That's an improvement, if anything, right?
To be honest, it's really not, because if I compared Biden and Fetterman, I would say Biden is a better orator. I would honestly right now, if it was Biden and Fetterman for 2024 for the presidency, who would you vote? I vote Biden. I think Biden.
I don't believe in voting, but I donated money to Fetterman.
That's what I'm saying. But I know, I'm just talking the hypothetical. I'm just saying, who do you think? I think actually Joe Biden would be a better president than John Fetterman as Biden right now than Fetterman right now.
I disagree to this extent. I think Fetterman's aphasia, meaning his lack of ability to speak, you can understand what he's saying. Maybe it's because I'm bilingual or trilingual. So like I can he talks like he's not a native speaker. That's what happened. He sounds like he was born in some weird like Central European country. So the words are not what they should be, but you can kind of get there anyway.
No, he's bad at public speaking. And that's the other thing too.
I'm not saying he's good at it at all.
Well, no, I know, but this my point is like all the people on the conservative side is like, we needed Dr. Oz, we needed Herschel Walker. First of all, Herschel Walker is not a moral guy either. Like every time he was on a team, every single teammate was like, oh yeah, he's a prima donna, he's an egomaniac, he was always traded, he was always cut. He was a great player. I'm not saying he wasn't a Heisman.
I read his autobiography. He talks about a guy delivered a car 6 days late, so he heard voices in his head ordering him to kill them. And he talked about how he played Russian roulette so many times he lost count.
Exactly. He's got debilitating CTE, guys. I mean, his brain is like a can of mashed potatoes or whatever. I mean, it's it's not. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing. I'm just making up words because that's
how bad it is. Yeah, it's not just mashed potatoes they put in a can.
It's like, I mean, and we know that, like, because even on the campaign trail, they're playing those speeches where he's talking about, I was watching a vampire movie and a vampire bit, and I'm like, people are gonna go vote for this guy? They're gonna go vote for the vampire
People don't know what you're referencing.
But people are like, oh, Alex, you should tweet for Herschel Walker. I'm like, the guy that just sat there and talked about vampires for 10 minutes on the most crucial race for a senator of a state. Yeah, I'm gonna go vote for the vampire. I mean, I'm not gonna vote for Warnock, but it's like, y'all want me to? That guy is actually. He's talking about vampire documentaries or whatever the fuck.
Alex is fake news. Because he wasn't just talking about vampires, he was talking about how a werewolf could beat a vampire.
Yes,
exactly. He'd
exactly.
rather be a werewolf, he'd rather be a vampire. I don't know which one it was, but he was talking about the two of them fighting, and you're sitting there, you're like, Grandpa Simpson, what is the point of this deranged anecdote?
And that's what I would say in a city council meeting. I would go in there and be like, I'd be like, oh yeah, my wife and I, we got in a physical fight because I said werewolves and then she said vampire. Like, I mean, it's so nonsensical. And this is what he's talking about. It's like, we have serious issues that are facing Georgians, and you're over here talking about werewolves and vampires, which will never affect one person in this whole state of Georgia ever, other than on a TV show, which they might watch for 30 minutes. My point is, they're all idiots. Everybody in there. It's a crooked system. When they get caught doing insider trading, like now all the intel that I'm getting from my favorite big booty Latina AOC from her, her ethics violation is that at worst it's going to be a $10,000 fine or something. And I go, well, that seems awfully low for something that's going to get investigated and, at the highest thing. He goes, well, Cawthorn just got, in trouble doing little Bitcoin thing. His was like $15,000. And I go, gosh, that seems low too. He goes, well, it's a corrupt system. So when it's corrupt people that created the system, it's going to benefit the corrupt people. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Even when like the corrupt people get in trouble, they still have a small punishment because it's a big club that you and I are not in. Yeah. And that's a cliche once again, but it's like, that's just a hard fact.
Alex, I know a lot of stuff is really funny, but something that isn't funny is inflation. And I want to talk a bit about how to curb inflation and keep your money secure.
Deutsche Bank, Citi, and Morgan Stanley are all forecasting another 25% plunge in the stock market. The only break in inflation is with the recession, and over 80% of retirees are concerned about inflation and are very concerned about the stock market. The author of Rich Dad Poor Dad said, I believe the economy is the biggest bubble in history. God have mercy on us all. And he bought more gold, predicting $3,000 an ounce gold within a year. In 2008, that stock market and housing market crash, gold went from $800 an ounce to $1,600 over the next 2.5 years. And this could be why he is forecasting $3,000 an ounce of gold. Billionaire economists agree on two things. We're heading toward a recession and investors need to buy gold. So do yourself a favor, check out Patriot Gold Group. If you call 888-505-9845 or go to patriotgoldgroup.com/p/malice, you can sign up to get the free 2022 gold IRA kit. And inside that kit, you'll learn how you can instantly get up to 10 grand or more. Seriously, get up to 10% back on money that you decide to protect. You'll learn how to do it 100% tax and penalty free. Yes, there's a way to legally safeguard your retirement savings, tax and penalty free. And you'll learn how you can protect and grow your retirement right now. With the economy in such a state of uncertainty, protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. The best thing about it all, it's free, 100% free. Guys, gold IRAs have helped thousands protect over $1 billion in retirement savings. Yes, $1 billion. And Patriot Gold has been helping Americans protect and secure their retirement savings in gold IRAs for over a decade. One of the best values out there is their no fee for life IRA with qualified accounts of over 100 grand. No fees for storage, no fees for shipping, no new rollover fees, no new account setup fees, no fees for the life of your account. And with Patriot Gold Group, you'll never pay retail and always work directly with the owners. Patriot Gold has a group of industry experts with a wealth of experience. They've held senior positions at some of the largest retail precious metal investment firms in the U.S., and they eliminate multiple layers of executive and shareholder compensation, work directly with you to secure the most competitive pricing on gold and silver. Call the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Call 888-505-9845. Mention Michael Malice, that's me, or go to patriotgoldgroup.com/p/Michael Malice, and you'll get best-in-class service from Patriots protecting Patriots. Patriot Gold Group has the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver, and you may be eligible for the no fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Call 888-505-9845 or go to patriotgoldgroup.com/p/Michael Malice for a free investor guide today. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 6 years in a row. Call 888-505-9845, mention Michael Malice, or go to patriotgoldgroup.com/p/Michael Malice. And now let's get back to Alex.
This whole vampire werewolf thing reminded me of one of the funniest pranks, not pranks, but things anyone's ever said to me. I had a buddy, LB, he's here in Austin, and he got invited years ago to a vampire wedding. And on the invitation, it said, we genuinely consider ourselves vampires. if you can't take this seriously, like, please don't come. Like, please respect.
Get out. Yeah, fuck you.
No.
I love that. Yeah, I like that.
He was gonna paint himself green, put bolts on his neck, and have platform shoes and say, "I'm a Frankenstein, and I want you to take it seriously."
But they wouldn't care. Yeah, but they would probably lie. Okay. First of all, I'm not even trying to ruin the joke, guys. I'm so bad. I probably said one of the joke. But I think if you went as a Frankenstein to the vampire wedding, they would have to respect that. The vampire. Okay, but go ahead. Sorry, I don't know.
No, that was it. But I just love the thing that he says, "I'm a Frankenstein."
Yeah, but see, the vampire people are okay. Well, this is cute. This is clever. See, there's something about being clever too that people love. Like, there's just not that I'm super clever, not that you're super clever, but I think that's why they like you, Michael. Is that you're clever or that you're funny? It's not that they don't want to be so super serious all the time. That everybody we're over seriousness.
Yeah, I think it's very clear if you were in politics, and this is a complete inversion of, let's suppose, 8 years ago. Which of the two, if you want to consider there being two teams, which team is having more fun? And it used to be, this is a great recruiting tool for the left. You had all the musicians, you had all the actors, you had all the TV shows, you had all the movies, all the songs. They're all pushing you in one direction, and then you have like Karen on the other side trying to ban songs and like, these movies aren't appropriate. And now all the fun. John Oliver is not having fun. John Oliver is miserable, and his people, and Samantha Bee is miserable, and Stephen Colbert are miserable. They're comedians ostensibly, but you can't watch it and be like, I'm having a great day. You're watching it because you're angry at these stupid MAGA people.
No, and Michael, it's funny because you started off like with the conservative movement in like the 80s and 90s, like with the, in the early 2000s with Janet Jackson wanting them to, censor the boob, to all the way to Occupy Wall Street, where the left was like, we're anti-establishment. We hate the big banks. We hate them, medical industrial complex. And now the left is like, we love the vaccine. We love Pfizer. Put on your mask. We love the establishment. We love the bank. Kick Kanye. Close Kanye's account. Woo! It's like, what the hell? It's so easy to run that psychological operation where like everybody now is cheerleading for the opposite team, and it's crazy. And the sad thing is, it's probably going to get inverted the other way in another 10 years. It's so wishy-washy, and people are so short-minded. We're like a goldfish. We just, we go and have a 20-year war in the Middle East over weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, and nobody even cares. Nobody's like, well, that's kind of matter. Me, I'm a 9/11 truther. It's like people like, oh, we found a bunch of passports, but we didn't find an engine part. They show us like literally two frames of just explosions at the Pentagon, never show us like any footage. It's just like there's just so much stuff. I guess we know that the United States military and the United States government lies to us about, but we just take their word for it because we suffer from cognitive dissonance. So I don't know, that's my problem, is that we'll never hold the people accountable, even when we know they're wrong. Even when we know it, we're like, hey, you're lying, but hey, I know this does cause myocarditis because my 11-year-old just got it on the soccer field and died, but the doctors can't come up with a conclusion of why he would have had a heart arrhythmia. This is so weird. It's just the media, the government, they're all working in lockstep, which we know, to subvert the American people from the truth.
There was one video I saw which was really kind of jaw-dropping. There was a kind of lefty journalist. She was at a conservative conference or event, and she had her mask on. She was dealing with the mask. And Alex Stein 99 got his mic and camera and got right in her face.
Tess Owen, my girl Tess.
Yeah, can you tell that whole story and what was going through your head?
So Tess is a Vice reporter, and Tess was actually I don't know if you saw this, but I had that recent where I was at Penn State and I got spit on by a student where I was speaking with Gavin McInnes, and Tess was there too. But long story short, at CPAC, which is, Conservative Political Action Committee, where they, have a big event where Trump was speaking here in Dallas, Texas. So I went to the event, and Tess, I'm friends with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and there is a rumor that her and I had a love interest. I just want to say we have not ever made love, even though, I wouldn't put it past myself. She probably would say no, but because people are like, oh, Alex, you hate that rumor? I'm like, no, I love that rumor. Please, Newsweek, if everybody wants to write about it, it did not happen, but I like that rumor going around, sadly. And I actually told Congresswoman Greene that. Sorry, I've been drinking too much Coke Zero. Excuse me. I know I had to let that out, Michael. I was about to pass out right there. Okay, so I had to I apologize.
Tess, talk about Tess.
Okay, well, yeah, Marjorie Taylor, but I had to get to Marjorie Taylor.
Yeah.
So Tess takes this video of Marjorie Taylor inside this jail cell with Brendan Strachan. They're doing performance art, and Brandon's like crying, and Marjorie's like praying, and it's like all these people are just trolling Marjorie.
For those who don't know, Brandon, who's a guest on the show, he was one of the people arrested on January 6th. He was the head of the Walkway movement, and he did a piece where he was presenting himself as being in a jail cell, and Marjorie Taylor Greene went and kind of ministered to him. It was a whole big thing. So go ahead.
It was like a whole big thing. It was got millions of views, like 4 million views on Twitter, and everybody wrote about it. So who knows, however many millions more. And so it was Tess that tweeted it, and I was like, oh, when I see Tess, I'm gonna call Tess out. I'm like, I'm gonna see Tess. It was Tess Twitter, and I'd look at her. I'm like, I'm looking at her picture, and then as soon as I see Tess, I go, Tess, what are you doing? I'm Primetime 99. What are you doing with your mask on? You're the only one with the mask on. How many vaccines do you have? And then because at CPAC, I'm not even trying to say this to my own horn. I can't believe this is the case because I am a nobody. I'm a loser. But when I go to these conservative events, because I've trolled so many people are like, oh my God, that's Alex Stein. That's Alex Stein. So everywhere I go, especially when I whip out my phone, I start to get a crowd. So I'm starting to whip out my cell phone. I'm starting to talk to her. Now all of a sudden, 3 or 4 or 5, 6, it's like 40 people around us. So Tess is like, holy shit, what is going on? And it's like, oh, Alex, are you intimidated? Not really, because Tess and I actually took a selfie after. People are like, it kind of does look a little intense because I am holding it. I'm kind of laughing, but it's really, with the Tess incident, it really wasn't. But there was a lot of people around. It was like a convention. It was kind of like we were the event when I was trying to talk to her. It's kind of like we were the booth. So that's why it's not like I was going to beat her up or anything. There's so many people watching. It's not. I don't know why some people are like, oh, she might have felt threatened. I don't think that was the case. And her and I ended up talking after. But my point is, so I just went and called her out. It's like, oh, you're so vaccinated. Why are you wearing your mask? Because you have to remember, this is a conservative, political party. Nobody's wearing a mask. Everybody there is like, Fauci for prisoner 2024. Everybody's wearing let's go Brandon. Everybody has a let's go Brandon hat on, and she's wearing a mask. So she definitely looked like an outsider. And then just, the video just blew up because this is the thing. With my humor, what I like to do is, you call that trolling, but what it is I like to mix absurdity with reality. I like to make the most absurd things look real. And that is kind of like a comedic formula for me, or at least that's what I do in a lot of my speeches and stuff. I go there, I'm trying to play a character that seems real, almost like Sacha Baron Cohen, but when I'm holding in her face, you're kind of like, is this real? Is he really in her face? I don't know. It's just what it does is it kind of makes people on the right upset too, and it makes people on the left upset too, because that's what I like to do. Especially that's why I go after Dan Crenshaw. That's why I went after Ted Cruz. I don't care if you're on the right and I think you're doing bad, you're annoying. Both sides want to screw us. The old cliche, left wing and right wing are on the same bird. So I don't trust either side. They're both trying to screw us over. That's obvious. And that's why I call a spade, balls and strikes.
Alex, we're running out of time. What has been your favorite part of this interview?
Oh, this interview, I want to say the beginning when I got you with my boomer background and that. So now, because dude, I've caught so many people. No, I've trolled so many things. I'm going to send you some clips. You're going to be like, oh, that's your background. And I have the outfit. So when I got you the boomer background live, that's my favorite.
Are welcome.
This episode is brought to you by Pluralsight. Try Pluralsight and bring visibility and predictability to your team's software delivery. Learn more at pluralsight.com/vision.